contraction is only 7.5 as compared to 23.9% in the first quarter. But it's also an irony that we're celebrating a contraction of 7.5 when not very long ago the Indian economy was growing at 7% and we were not satisfied with 7 and we were dreaming of double-digit numbers like China. So it is really an irony that today we should be celebrating a contraction of 7.5. Having said that, yes, it is much, much better than Q1, the first quarter ended June. So there is reason to be not celebrate, at least as far as the Chief Economic Advisor to Government, Dr. Subramanian, mentioned in his press conference, to be cautiously optimistic. But if you look at the Indian economy, not in isolation, but if you look at economies across the world, then all over the world you find that economies have really bounced back in the quarter ended September. And in the Indian economy's better performance in the second quarter is not really very surprising. When you have fallen as much as we did in the first quarter, there is only one way to go but up. So certainly 7.5%, is, as I said, reason to be celebrated in one sense. And yet at the same time, it was not really very surprising. It was inevitable. So that is as far as the broad macro number is concerned. And to the extent that most estimates had thought that the Indian economy would contract anywhere between 8 to 9 to 10%, 7.5 is definitely better. So to that extent, having said that, I think the next question is that could we have done better than this? But maybe we can take that a little later in the discussion. But overall, a contraction of 7.5 is a marked improvement over Q1. But as the Chief Economic Advisor said, we need to remain cautiously optimistic simply because economies across the world have again started slowing down because of the second phase of COVID attacks. So hopefully, if we escape that, then we will continue to improve. But if, God forbid, we also go through the same phase of a second return of the COVID virus and more deadly like the Spanish flu in the second instance, then I'm afraid things perhaps may not necessarily improve. But for now, yes, fingers crossed, reason to feel a little happy, yes. Well, agriculture has been, a positive and did well in the first quarter also. So given that the Indian economy, even though agriculture does not contribute very much to the GDP, the fact is that a very large section of the population is dependent on agriculture. So from the welfare point of view, when agriculture does well, the rural economy does well, India, we could say, does well because India is still essentially rural as far as workforce is concerned. But the other sectors that have done well, and two particular sectors which I would like to mention where the improvement is heartening, is manufacturing. Manufacturing is marginally positive in the second quarter at 0.6%. But if you look at how manufacturing had contracted, starting from the second quarter of last year, Q2, Q3, Q4, in all three quarters, manufacturing contracted. For the first time after 3 successive quarters of decline, manufacturing has turned positive. Now this, I think, is a silver lining simply because it is manufacturing that gives jobs to people. And if at the end of the day what matters is not GDP, what matters is jobs, what matters is incomes, what matters is distribution of incomes, what matters is how well do people feel. And then I think the positive turn in manufacturing is good. Another sector where I think we need to take heart is construction. In the first quarter, construction contracted at 50%, construction halved. This time, construction has again grown by 8.6%. Now, construction is a sector which gives jobs to low-skilled people. So the bottom of the pyramid people, once again, jobs. So I think the performance of manufacturing and construction is a very good takeaway as far as disaggregated numbers are concerned, apart, of course, from agriculture. The unhappy sector, really, if I may call it that, the performance which is unhappy, is services. Services continues to contract. Now, given that services contributes as much as 60% almost of our GDP, this is bound to weigh down overall GDP performance. But this is inevitable, given the fact that when you have a pandemic like COVID, where social distancing is the sine qua non, really, of any kind of preventive measure, then services, how do you get a haircut from a barber if he's going to stay those 6 feet apart from you? So the services sector is very closely linked with the social distancing disappearing. But this social distancing cannot disappear till such time as the disease rages amongst us. So unfortunately, I think the services sector will continue to look negative until such time as we have a vaccine and we are also able to vaccinate the large majority of our population. So that is going to take a long time. me start with the Reserve Bank of India because the Monetary Policy Committee meets next week. And the governor had actually said that the MPC is willing to look through, because one fact that doesn't find mention in the CSO numbers, as that inflation, the last number came in at 7.6. Now inflation hits the poor hardest, and given the fact that the bulk of the inflation is coming from food inflation, it hits them where it hurts them most in the stomach. So RBI has followed a very accommodative monetary policy. There's huge excess liquidity in the market. At some point, this huge excess liquidity might come back in the form of further fueling inflation, which is something that every government and every central bank is very wary of. So at the next MPC meet, the governor perhaps could take heart from the fact that GDP contraction is only 7.5 as against the RBI's own estimate of minus 8.6. So presumably the economy is faring better, inflation is much worse. To that extent, there should be a case for marking status quo as far as rates are concerned. Remember, interest rates are already negative. Real interest rates are negative. The RBI's policy rate as compared to the inflation rate, we're paying a negative interest rate of almost 3%. Savers are already hit. So as far as MPC is concerned, at the moment, I would think there's a case to hold their horses. As far as government is concerned, I think the government needs to do a little more. As compared to governments all over the world, Indian government has been very cautious. Perhaps rightly so, given the fears of a rising fiscal deficit, of the fiscal deficit going completely uncontrolled. But here is a case where the pandemic, it's a once in 100-year event. So there is a case for government to open its coffers a little bit more, start spending. And even somebody like the IMF, who's always taken a very rigid stance as far as government deficit is concerned, they have recently gone on record saying that now is a case for the governments to borrow more, to even monetize their deficit, because this is a once in a century kind of episode that happens. So hopefully the government, when it frames its budget, of course the fiscal deficit is going to be way above the budget estimate, but not get frightened by that prospect and say, yes, let the fiscal deficit increase, never mind. But if the fiscal deficit increases and the economy improves, then next year we can bring the economy back on track. So for the moment, very shortly, RBI, hold your horses. Government, please open your coffers, spend more, because that's the only thing that you can do at times like this.